Alright, hello everyone. So Sunyata's out, and it's a surprise to me. It's a really good ego, but it's not the best and it's not really catered to any one Heathcliff ID currently. So this ego, right, is pretty interesting because you got a positive version and a negative version. It's pretty much like Ishmael's new ego that's going to come out soon, season 5, I think. Yeah, season 5 battle pass. So you have a version here, the awakening. It does well when you have 15 or more SP. 15 or more SP, you get attack weight 2, making this a 26 5 AoE, which is very, very good. It is, I believe, 4 more damage than a fluid sac. And if you consider you times 5 it, that is a lot of extra damage. It costs 1 less than fluid sac, but it has more variety in terms of elements. So it's quite tricky. Heathcliff, most of his IDs, right, only charge up like maybe 2 of these, or sometimes even 1 of them only. Like maybe you give a variety of like Gloom plus Wrath or Lust plus Gloom. So it's not exactly something that's super designed for him, but he can get the elements from other team members. Yeah, so that is still fine. So besides the pretty good damage for the positive version, you also get 2 attack power down. 2 attack power down is a very good debuff and can make your clashes a lot easier. And then after you attack, you heal 25 SP for 4 other allies. Fluid Sac heals this amount, but for everyone, as well as add on to a heal, and Fluid Sac heals herself by 25 SP, and if she clashes something, she gains more SP, so she's basically the same as before. So Fluid Sac spammability has nothing on Sunyata. Sunyata is specifically to heal 4 other allies with the least SP. So this ego has some strong points and some weak points. Ultimately, it is more of a damage ego and also a pretty okay utility ego. Honestly, if you want attack power down for a boss, for example, you would rather use something like Chains of Others from Assault. Or, I don't know, Yi-Sang's Crow's Eye View. That's pretty good for attack power down as well. The corroded form is where it starts to change a little bit. So now you do 33 in a 5 AoE. 33 is pretty much stronger than every other ego we have in terms of AoE. There are 2 others. We got Rhyme Shank. Rhyme Shank, if I remember correctly, let me look at it. Okay, Rhyme Shank does about 30 in an AoE for the positive version, but it also has the line, if target's HP is above 50%, you deal 30% more damage. So that is something that cannot be beat, honestly. So this one is more of a... But Ramshang is only 3 AoE, so this one is still going to beat it. As long as you have 2 extra targets, then you can do a lot more damage than a Ramshang can. Otherwise, Ramshang usually beats it out in terms of damage. Then if you want single target damage, maybe like Fluid Sac Dawn or something. But honestly, this ego does a lot more damage than a Fluid Sac would, so it is ultimately really, really good to have this ego. And when you have maybe 5 possible targets to hit or a boss with 5 possible parts to hit. Otherwise, it's better to use some other egos with lesser targets. Right, then besides that, right, you are also getting a bunch of buffs. You can inflict 3 defense level down to 1 random other ally. This is not a buff, this is more of a debuff. I do not know why it's specifically defense level down, but it makes it so that one of your allies is going to have defense level down. So it makes them more vulnerable. You on the other hand, gain defense level up and gain damage up, heal for SP, as well as you inflict 1 fragility. The 1 fragility applies to all the targets you hit, so that is 5 1 counts of fragility, making it so that when you fight a lot of enemies, this is actually a really powerful move to set it up so that you can wipe them all out at the same time. So pretty okay for wave battles, otherwise I wouldn't really use this. But still, this is a very, very solid option. It even reminds me of Ebony Stem in a way, except blunt. Right. And then for the passive, right, it's actually interesting because it is more of a tank passive. It raises your max HP by 15%. Actually, okay, if you use for a tank, it's the ideal situation. But if you use it for like a regular version of the character, it's still fine also. Because no matter what happens, right, you're still getting a heal basically. You will raise your HP by 15% when you recover from stagger, and you will heal by the then max HP amount of current max HP. So you will gain 15% to your, let's say, maybe 200, and then after that, 15% of that extra 215 or is it 230, something like that, will get healed up by that percentage. So it's ultimately just a positive heal. And if you're at less than 30% of your current max HP, which means the HP that you get from the increase, you will heal by 25% instead. So ultimately it's just a heal, really nice, 3 times per encounter, and at the end of the encounter you revert to your base max HP. So this is just a really good ego, provides some good tankiness here. This actually makes it so that you pretty much are very hard to die when you get staggered. Sorry, no. Okay, you can still get one shot. It's just that it will help you recover from getting staggered, maybe because you screwed up or something. So this is more of a oopsie, I did something wrong. Oh man, I rolled tails and I got staggered. So now this will help me to recover a little bit of my HP so that in the future I will be able to, you know, just save some resources on healing this character. Right, then besides that, right, let's look at the team comps that you probably want to run with this. The problem with this, right, I talked about before, is that most of the Heathcliff IDs do not charge this fully. So, Heathcliff IDs, here they are, usually only charge this by 2 of the elements. So here is only Wrath, 1 out of 3. Then here we have Sloth and Gloom, 2 out of 3. But of course you have your Wrath here. So ultimately this is still one of the best options. Sunshower Heathcliff is pretty much designed to charge up this ego. So Wrath, Sloth, Gloom. Unfortunately, it's on your skill 3 and skill 2. Skill 2 is fine, but skill 3 is a bit hard. So you will need to find a Sloth resource elsewhere. And then besides that, right, you would also need to go and find a Wrath resource. You need to find what's the resource? The resource is Lust. You need to find Lust somewhere to fill it up. And if you look at Kleinhammer is only 2 out of 4. Rabbit is only 1 out of 4, and the rest here is pretty much just 2 out of 4. Wrath Lust. Yep. So Sunshower charges up 3 of them. So very good already. And because one of them is on your guard, you have Wrath settled. And then you just need to find a Lust source from somewhere else, and then you need to maybe find another Sloth source to help you shore up your weak Sloth. Conveniently, the sinking team or negative SP team actually helps you a lot in this regard. Let's go with Ninclair first. So Ninclair, right, gives you all of the elements that you want, except Pride. You don't need Pride, but it's whatever. You get Gloom, you get Lust, and you get Wrath. So literally 3 out of the 4 elements are being charged if you bring Ninclair along with you, and Ninclair is also a negative SP character. Doesn't really mean much because right now there's no negative SP synergy, but it does open the way for some negative SP shenanigans going on, because if you have a lot of good negative egos, then a way to make them all negative, which is something like maybe Ishmael's WoW ego. WoW ego is going to actually make them get less SP so that they can all like do their egos maybe. That is something that could happen in the future. A bit of copium here. Then besides Ninclair, honestly, if you want Sloth, right, you have a pick of like a lot of characters here. There's no particularly like amazing Sloth characters, like they're all amazing. You got what, Gregor. Gregor's a great tank, provides you a lot of good shit. He has lanterns for self-heal. You got Mola Office Fixer Otis, pretty much can function by herself. She prefers the Tremor Burst, of course, but she still does tremendous damage due to her skill 3. And Discard Mechanic getting rid of all her skill 1s, meaning that she'll consistently do skill 2, skill 3s. Same for Dichi Rodion. Dichi Rodion literally got buffed Dispatch, so it's just straight up good. Helps you with your Gloom resource as well, and you'll be spamming skill 3 anyway because you'll be discarding a lot of your other garbage here. Yep. And then of course Ishmael sinking, and you can get some Sloth here and some Gloom here, as well as some Pride sources for maybe some of your other egos. So really, if you were to just look at any of the sinking characters, even Reindeer, right, will give you 2 out of 4 elements. So this character, this ego, really wants to be in a negative SP team, or at least a sinking team to get to that point. Problem is still that Sunshower Heathcliff still has a little bit of trouble getting to the negative SP that he wants. He usually, unfortunately, the sinking count for this character is a little bit tricky, but he is getting buffs, okay? Slowly but surely, this character is getting to a usable level. And of course, the biggest problem with him is that he clashes with a slot for Rabbit Heathcliff. So unless you're going for roleplay stuff, you probably would never use him. But at the same time, I feel like he is going to eventually become a very solid part of a sinking or low SP team. We need a little bit more support, and I feel like we're almost there. Yeah. So that is my thoughts on this character. Ultimately, this ego here wants to be used with Sun Shower, Heathcliff, because it provides 3 out of the 4 elements, and then you try to slap in all of the other sinking characters to get some maybe sinking deluge action from your Yi Sang. You can also run like the other Dichis or your Zwei, Gregor in order to get some tankiness and get more damage output, but that will be up to you already. Yep. So right now, I think whether you want to pull for this ego is still probably a no. I think ego banners are usually not very good unless it's a super amazing ego like Fluid Psych, then you can try for that. But otherwise, this is not exactly a super tier 1 ego like a Fluid Psych or like Pursuance to go and get for your team. This is more like a pretty decent ego that if you have the resources and you have the optimal situation of hitting about maybe 4 to 5 targets, then it's probably worth popping. Because honestly, ego resources are still quite valuable in a lot of our endgame content, RR2 and Mirror Dungeon. You have to be quite careful with what you want to pop. So this is still something that you just want to pop when the situation is right, not something you want to spam like crazy and then burn all of your resources here. Yep. And in addition to that, take note is on the standard banner here, same for Lantern, Sinclair. So if you really wanted to get these guys, feel free to just farm your shards. Do not burn your lunacy for just this ego banner. Honestly, these egos are not really worth the lunacy to get them. Rather, you just use your lunacy to even refresh and just farm shards if you want to get them. Right now, I think priority is still on any of the Season 2 Limbus Pass characters that you have not gotten. And then when we are reaching near the end of the season, I will talk about which one to prioritize. Yep. Alright, so that will be it for my review of your Sunyata. I think it is a very solid ego, and if in the right situation, with the right elements and right typings, it is actually super powerful. But otherwise, I would not really pop this ego that often. It's just if the situation is perfect and I can get quite a lot of damage out of it, I might consider popping this to get a crap ton of damage done on my enemies. Right, so that will be it. If I missed out anything, do let me know. Yeah, that will be it. Bye-bye.